Right. Now we're on Sukkah Yud Zayin. Mishnah. Hirchik is asichuk min adfana shloisha tvachim. If the schach is more than 3 tvachim away from the wall, psula. So you got to have it within 3 tvachim to use lavud. Beisham bayish nifchas. You have a house, the ceiling caved in, and you cover the opening with schach. It won't work if the distance between the wall and the schach is more than arba amos, because then you have more than arba amos schach pasul. You have a 3-sided house, and within the middle part of the chai of the house, you have like a patio. So if you put schach on that, it'll work as long as there isn't more than arba amos between the schach and the end wall of the house. Sukkah gedolah shekifu b'dover shem etzachkin bo. You have a sukkah that's a 10 amma by 4 by 4 tefach that you put some non-kosher schach on top. Im yishtachtav arba amos psula. If it's more than arba amos schach psula, it invalidates. Now, chura, you've said the same thing 3 times. Kol hanalamali, tzrichi. Let's take a case where the middle, you have a house, the ceiling in the middle fell down, you put schach there, but we say if from the schach to the wall is more than arba amos, it's possible. So those walls were meant for the house. But a chotzer that is surrounding this patio, the mechitzas is lav la'achzandra vidi. It maybe aim alone. Maybe we wouldn't allow it. Tzricha. But in those cases, you use kosher schach. But in the case where you put posel schach, the schach of posel aim alone wouldn't work. As long as you still are, you don't have arba amos worth of posel schach, it still works. I just want to read the halacha here. So if the schach is higher than the end of the wall by more than 3 tefachim, the sukkah is possible. And if you have a house that the roof caved in, you put schach there. If there's more than arba amos between the schach and the wall of that house, again, it would be possible. If you have you don't even have schach, you have airspace. So it passes by a sukkah if there's more than 3 tefachim, whether it's on the side, whether it's in the middle. As long as it goes the length of the sukkah, we're not talking just a little space. If it's less than 3 tefachim, it's okay. You shouldn't sit underneath it. That's if it's space. But what about if it's schach pasul? I'm reading the Shulchan Aruch. There, if you have schach pasul, up until arba amos, if it's on the side, we'll use the heter of doifen akuma. It's like a bent wall. So it's 3.5 amos of schach pasul on the side of the sukkah. That would be kosher. Once you have arba amos worth, then it's not. Now in the middle of the sukkah, if you have pasul dikas schach 4 tfachim, it already ruins the sukkah. Less than arba tfachim of schach pasul, it's kosher. And you can sleep underneath it. Back to the Gemara. Amar Rabba. Ashchin Rabbanan Dvei Rabdi Yasvi Amri. Avir Poisel B'Shloisha. If you have empty space, not tzchach posel, but just empty space, so more than 3 tfachim of empty space will posel the sukkah. Tzchach posel poisel barba. Bad tzchach, like metal, or something that you're not to use tzchach, in the middle of the sukkah, it's going to posel with arba tfachim. Less than arba tfachim, it'll be okay. V'yamina lehuana, and I understood like this. Avir de posel b'shloisha menolachu. How do you know that if I just have empty space, you need, once you have 3, it already, remember, if you have schach posel, and if you have 3 tvachim of schach posel, the sukkah is kosher. But if you have 3 tvachim of air, it's treif. How do you know this? It's not. Hirchik es asichuk menadefana shloisha tvachim. If the schach is a distance, either from the side or above, hirchik es asichuk menadefana shloisha tvachim psula. So schach posel nami. Loy lifsel elabar ba'amois. Why shouldn't schach posel? You could go up to arba amois to snan. Because remember our Mishnah, where we had a house, the ceiling in the middle of the house fell, and you put schach there. So we said, as long as you don't have between the schach and the wall arba amois, because that's a real roof, that's a posel dik schach. So we said, but if it was 3 amas, it would be kosher. So why don't we say tzchach posel have up to arba amois, not arba tfachim? Amruli, they answered me, bar minadahi. That's a unique case. The Rav Shmuel Amar Tarvayu, mishum doifen akuma nagabu. That has nothing to do with tzchach posel. That's what he said. If on the side of the sukkah there's tzchach posel up to arba amois, we view the wall and the tzchach posel as one wall. We just bent the wall. So it's not really schach there, it's the wall. The amina lu'ano, and I understood like this. Ma ilu schach posel, pachus marba. So now we have the halacha that schach posel I can have up to arba tfachim. The avir, though, you only have up to shloisha tfachim. Ma ikshera. So, but maya b'shpudim ma psula. But let's say you had 3 tfachim of air, and you filled it up with metal. You have to be psula. Why should they be the same? Why are you more machmer by aver than by posel tikas chach? The Amruli answered me, Iachi lidin chanami to amit. You could say the same thing over there. Schach posel posel barba amos. We said if you have posel tika, like schach, like the roof, you get up to arba amos. Ma ilu ikas schach posel pochs barba amos. Vaver pochs mishloisha. Ma ikshera ma yibishpud ma psula lo yavra posel mishloisha kischach posel posel barba amos. You could ask me the same question about the case over there, and that I answered. Vamina lo ano I my bishma ledidi damina arba amos mishum shiur v'lav shiuru. There we're talking about like apples and oranges. Apples are measured by dozen, oranges are measured by weight. So you can't be mitzvah these shiur. High lav shiur or kiven deloy shavu shirela adadi lo mitzvahfi. They're not the same. You don't measure them in the same units, and it's a whole different species. We don't mitzvah. Ela leditchu, according to you. Damrito shiur mishum afloga. Doesn't have to do with. It has to do with how far away you are from the wall. What do we care? Mali is probably b'schach posel. Mali is probably b'schach posel v'avir. Why should there be a difference whether you have posel tikas chach, whether you have a combination between air and posel tikas chach? Amalei Abaya, ulamar nami. Even according to you, nihida lo shavish yirai b'sukkah gedola. You might be correct by a sukkah gedola, meaning a 10 amas 4x4 tefach sukkah, but the sukkah ketana shavai shachal milo shavish yirayu. There, the shirim would be exactly the same. So you could be mitzdarif. There, by a 7 tvachim, so it has nothing to do with the shir. Once you don't have enough schach, you don't have the shir of sukkah. And where do you get this whole concept that the shiurim are not the same? You can't be mitzaref atnan. A beged shloishal shloisha. The minimum textile that will be matame with some kind of tumma has to be 3 by 3 etzbos. Hasak, sackcloth, arbal arba, 4 by 4. Haor, chamishal chamisha. Leather, 5 by 5. Mapitz, which is like a mat, shishal shisha. Vitani Allah, we learned on this, habeged v'asak, hasak v'haor, haor v'mapitz, mitzarfin zemzeh, even though their shiurim are different. So the Gemara says that you have no kasha. Hasam kidiktani taima, that on Rab Shimon matam, hoil v'roy l'tamei moishev. Since each one independently, if a zav sits on them, it would be metame, they could be mitzarf. Kiditnan. Hamekatzeh mikula and tefach al tefach tamei. On each one of those examples you gave me, if you cut out a tefach al tefach piece and a zav sat on it, they would acquire tumah zav. Now, tefach al tefach lamai chazi. What is that going to be used for? On Rajamen Lakish bin Rav Yanai, hoil v'roy litlo gabi achamor. You can use it like as a saddle. So it does have a status of a kli. Now, this whole dialogue we just had, besura armila shmaitza by lishna. The dialogue we just carried out in Surah, right? There were 2 Gaonic towns in Bavel, Surah and Pumbedisa. So in Surah, they learned it like this. Besura armila shmaitza by lishna. But in Nardo Masnu, in Nardo, they learned it like this, because Nardo was the place of Shmuel. Amir Amar Shmuel. Schach pasul. If you're dealing with like metal, schach that's not kosher, be'emtza poisel barba. If it's in the middle of the sukkah, more than 4 tfachim pasels. Minat sad, poisel barba amos, because we use doifin akuma. If the metal, you can't sleep under it, but it doesn't pasel the whole sukkah. The Rav Amar, because we use doifin akuma. The Rav Amar, bein minat sad, bein be'emtza barba amos. Oh, Rav gives you a kula, which we don't follow. That if you have schach pasul in the middle of the sukkah, even ba'arba amos, it would be a kosher. So Tanan, so we ask a kasha from a Mishnah. Once you put a piece of lumber 4 tefach wide on top of the sukkah ksheva. So Bishma Rav Damar Bein B'emtza Bein Minat Sad Ba'arba Amos Mishum Achi Ksheva. So Rav says, he made no distinction whether the schach pasul is on the side of the sukkah or in the middle of the sukkah. He gave you up to arba'amos. So therefore, a piece of lumber 4 tefach is okay. Ela l'shmuel davar be'emtza ba'arbot tefach amayk sheira. How could it be kosher according? How could this mishnah be kosher according to Shmuel? Hoch ma'iskin minat sad, because we're talking about from the side. We're not talking in the middle. That mishnah Toshma shnei sadinim, 2 sheets. And they don't have the right shear, they can be mitzaref the 2 sheets. Shnei nesorim, 2 lumbar pieces, ain't mitzarfim. But Reb Meir Omer nesorim kisadina. Reb Meir says a sheet is the same as lumber. So bish malach nishdada amarav, bein be'emtza b'minat sad barba amois. So it makes sense according to Rav that says whether on the side or in the middle of the sukkah, a pasul dikas schach will pasul with arba amos, and therefore my mitzarfin l'arba amos. If you have a sadin of 2 amos and a sadin of 2 amos, they're mitzarf to pasul the sukkah. Elalach nishnadab marav be'emtzer barba. But according to the first version that we learned tonight, that Rav pasuls already with 4 tfachim, not 4 amos. So hechidami. So what do we mean in mitzarfin? Id ispu arba. If the sadna already has arba, so we don't need to be mitzarf. That's true. Eat the laspu arba. So if the planks were less than 4, then what do you mean hitzarf was kanya ba'almaninu? These are reeds, and reeds are kosher for schach. More says loylam the ispu arba. There are 4 tfachim. Umay mitzarfin. We have many where mitzarfim la arba amos benat sad, where either it's going to be kosher l'doifin akuma, or if it's more than arba amos, it'll be pasul. Toshma sichacha ben nesorim shel eres sheyesh ben arba. You use cedar planks that had arba tfachim, Divra kol psula. Ein behen arba. If they're less than arba tvachim. Rab Meir poisel, we'll have to see why. Rab Yudah machshir. And Rab Yudah's machshir, we'll have to see why. Umoide Rab Meir, shem yesh bein neser neser kabbalah neser shem yesh pesel beinei mikshem, which we had this already. So this we will start again. So the next time we're going to learn Ritz Hashem is Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Los Angeles time, which will be 6:30 my time. Okay.
Ashikoyach, have a good trip.
Thank you.
Welcome to Shalom.
Amen. Thank you very much.
And Mazel Tov on the Bar Mitzvah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.